Shifting focus for now, a lot rests on the US Supreme Court in the tariffs case. This comes after an appeals court ruled Trump's action on taxing global imports as illegal. In a verdict on Friday, a panel of judges basically said Trump had exceeded his authority by imposing global tariffs. And the case adds more uncertainty to the US trading partners and on Trump policies. Our next report telling you more.
The US Supreme Court has doubled in a number of Trump administration cases recently. However, the legal fight over the president's global tariffs would place the justices squarely in the middle of an issue central to his economic goals. In his relentless pursuit of more executive powers, Trump has declared a number of emergencies that is over and above his policy priorities, which he claims enable him to take unilateral action disrupting global markets. He did this by imposing 10% baseline tariffs on almost all countries and even more on some nations. Trump cited national security concerns for his actions. He also used the fentanyl trafficking emergency to impose additional tariffs on Canada, China, and Mexico. However, 11 of 15 judges across 3 US courts called Trump's tariffs illegal. They concluded that he extended his authority and lacked the necessary legal basis. Ahead of the appeals court ruling, Trump's cabinet officials had warned that declaring tariffs unlawful would have a devastating impact on American foreign policy. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warned of dangerous diplomatic embarrassment. Trump's allies filed statements in support of a request that any ruling against the administration be immediately put on hold until the US Supreme Court issues a final decision. Lutnick had said failing to do so would have devastating and dire consequences. But the appeals court ruled against the administration. The verdict also gave the president a deadline of mid-October to appeal to the Supreme Court before the ruling took effect. Separately, the judges sent the case back to the lower court to determine if it applied to everyone affected by tariffs or just the parties involved in the case. The twist, though, is that the appeals court cited a recent Supreme Court ruling as a guideline to the lower court to scope out the verdict. Recently, the US top court had ruled that judges should limit their verdicts to the parties involved in the case. That ruling barred judges from issuing so-called universal injunctions that go beyond the parties in a case and apply nationwide. But the Supreme Court left open the possibility that judges in some cases could use other legal mechanisms to reach the same outcome. Several judges used different mechanisms to reissue nationwide injunctions against Trump's birthright citizenship restrictions. That made the sweeping orders still appropriate under the new Supreme Court standard. Trump's chorus-singing administration expects to eventually win the case. Perhaps the president's best hope is the dissent penned in Friday's ruling by Judge Richard Taranto and 3 other judges. They say IEEPA uses broad language to provide flexibility in the tools available to the president to address unusual and extraordinary threats. Peter Navarro, White House Senior Advisor on Trade and Manufacturing, says the dissent presents a very clear roadmap to how the Supreme Court can rule in their favor. The real question now is, can Trump really get his tariff agenda through the Supreme Court? If not, will he be able to get the Congress to veto it, or would he face any difficulty? The tariffs case against the Trump administration was filed by a group of small businesses and states led by Democrats. The lawsuit challenged Trump's use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to sidestep Congress and issue the tariffs. The case argues that Trump did so to force trading partners to negotiate rather than to address any legitimate national emergency. IEEPA does not mention tariffs and has never been used in such a manner. They have also argued that a ruling against the tariffs must apply across the nation. That issue may now become a focus of further arguments. Trump's policy shifts away from the long-established Republican Party's take on free trade. The president's decision to impose the policy change unilaterally rather than through legislation has exposed legal loopholes. Democrats have criticized Trump's tariffs. Many questions still remain, even as a final decision could still be many months away. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.